Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring a really interesting topic, Bitcoin. Well, not just Bitcoin itself, but how it connects to this whole idea of individual sovereignty.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and how it even plays into raising kids in our digital world today.
Yeah.
We're going to be using this article, Bitcoin, Propaganda, and the Quest for Individual Sovereignty, as our roadmap for this deep dive.
Sounds like a good one.
Good
Really
one.
gets you thinking about the systems we live in
It does.
and how much control we really have.
Yeah.
The article starts by looking at propaganda
Oh, wow.
and how it's been used, well, forever to control populations, often turning people against each other.
It's almost like a playbook, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And it's still happening today, just in more subtle ways.
Right. It's not just those wartime posters anymore.
Exactly. It's in our media, in our education, even in our entertainment.
It's scary how pervasive it is.
It is. So it's more important than ever to think critically.
Yeah.
To question everything we're told. Like, who's saying it? Why are they saying it? What's their agenda?
Right. And how does it make you feel?
Exactly.
What's interesting is the article suggests that Bitcoin could actually be a tool to push back against this control.
Especially when it comes to finances.
Yes, exactly.
Because Bitcoin is so different from our traditional money.
Right, it's decentralized.
Yeah. Think about it. Your bank account, your savings,
It's all controlled.
by these institutions. But with Bitcoin, there's no central authority.
So no more shadowy figures manipulating things behind the scenes.
Well, that's the idea. It operates on this global network, the blockchain.
Okay.
It's like a public ledger that anyone can see and verify.
That's pretty powerful, taking that power back.
It is. And historically, those who control the money,
Oh, yeah.
they have huge influence on society.
It's true.
But with Bitcoin, that dynamic shifts.
So imagine a world where your finances are truly yours, where you have complete control and governments or banks can't just print more money whenever they feel like it, devaluing your savings.
Right.
That's the potential.
It's financial self-defense in a world where so much feels out of our control.
Yeah, but how does it actually translate to individual freedom?
Let me give you an example. Imagine you live in a country with high inflation.
Okay.
Your savings are constantly losing value.
Yeah.
Bitcoin could potentially protect you from that. Or let's say you want to support a cause.
Oh.
But traditional banks, they're censoring it. Bitcoin lets you bypass those gatekeepers and directly fund projects that you believe in.
So it's not just about choosing a different currency, it's about choosing a different set of rules.
A different way of participating in the system.
But we've been talking about freedom and sovereignty, but what about our kids?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other layer.
Right. They're growing up in this digital age where influence is constant. It's like they're bombarded with propaganda from all sides.
Right. Think about it. Social media, targeted advertising, curated content.
Yeah.
It's all designed to grab their attention.
And to shape how they see the world.
It's a far cry from how we grew up.
Exactly. And it's not just about limiting screen time. It's about teaching them how to think critically.
Yes.
This article talks about raising kids who are digitally sovereign.
I like that.
Kids who understand how their data is used and who can make conscious choices about what they consume online.
It's about having open conversations with them.
Yeah.
Encouraging them to question what they see.
Instead of just saying, no social media.
Exactly. We need to give them the tools to engage responsibly.
But how do we actually do that? Are there specific things parents can do?
Absolutely. One thing the article suggests is encourage them to think about why things are trending.
Okay.
Like, why is this influencer promoting this product?
Right.
What's the underlying message here? By asking these questions,
Yeah.
you help them develop a more discerning eye.
It's like teaching them to read between the lines.
Exactly. But it goes beyond just social media.
Their entire digital footprint.
Exactly. Help them understand the value of their data
Their privacy.
and their online reputation.
It's like a new kind of literacy.
It is a digital literacy, which is essential for navigating this complex world.
And it all connects back to individual sovereignty.
Right.
Just like Bitcoin can empower individuals to take control of their finances.
These digital literacy skills can empower them in the online world.
That's a really great analogy. But there's another layer to this I want to talk about.
Okay.
The spiritual side.
Yes.
I have to admit, when I first read about the spiritual side of Bitcoin and individual sovereignty, I was a little skeptical.
Yeah.
But the article makes a compelling case.
It's not about religion.
No.
It's about recognizing that we're spiritual beings.
Okay.
And that inner awareness can actually help us become more resilient to external pressures.
You mean like the constant barrage of propaganda and consumerism?
Exactly.
So it's like building up your inner strength to resist outside influences.
Exactly. When you have a strong sense of self, you're less likely to be swayed by trends or manipulated by, clever marketing tactics.
That makes sense. But how does this tie back to Bitcoin?
Well, think about it. Bitcoin is all about decentralization,
Okay.
shifting power from these centralized institutions to individuals.
Right.
And that same principle can apply to our inner lives. We can decentralize our own minds
Interesting.
by becoming less reliant on, external validation.
And more connected to our own inner compass.
Exactly.
So Bitcoin and spiritual sovereignty are both about reclaiming power.
Precisely.
One is about financial power, the other is about mental and emotional power.
And when you combine them, you create a powerful foundation for individual sovereignty in all aspects of your life.
Wow, I never thought I'd be talking about Bitcoin and spirituality in the same conversation.
Me either.
But it's making a lot of sense. But let's get back to the practical side for a second.
Mhm.
We talked about how to empower our kids digitally,
Yeah.
but what about ourselves? What can we do to build up this inner resilience, this spiritual sovereignty?
Well, that's a journey. It looks different for everyone,
Right.
but many spiritual practices share some common threads.
Like what?
Things like mindfulness, meditation, self-reflection, connecting with nature.
So you're not saying I need to become a monk
No,
and meditate on a mountaintop?
not at all.
Okay, good.
It's about incorporating these practices into your everyday life.
Makes sense.
Even small steps can make a big difference. Taking a few minutes each day to quiet your mind, connect with your breath, just be present.
It sounds like a way to kind of create a buffer between yourself and all the noise of the world.
Precisely. And that buffer can help you become more discerning, more intentional.
More resilient.
Exactly.
So this is giving me a whole new perspective. The connection between Bitcoin, individual sovereignty, and even parenting.
It's all connected.
It is. But I'm curious, how does this spiritual resilience actually play out in real life?
Well, let's say you're scrolling through social media
Okay.
and you see a post designed to make you afraid
Okay.
or angry. Maybe it's a sensationalized news story or a political attack ad.
Right.
If you're not grounded in your own values, aware of your emotional triggers, you're more likely to get swept up.
And react impulsively.
Exactly. You're more susceptible to manipulation.
Makes sense.
But if you have this inner peace, this clarity, you can observe that trigger without getting hooked. You can pause, take a breath, and ask yourself,
Wait, is this true?
exactly, is this aligned with my values? How do I want to respond to this?
So it's about creating that space between stimulus and response.
Yes, that ability to choose how you react.
Instead of just reacting automatically.
Exactly. And that space, that choice, is where true freedom lies.
Wow. This is really insightful. But how does this all tie back to the bigger picture of Bitcoin and the quest for individual sovereignty?
Well, the world is becoming increasingly complex, interconnected.
Right.
We're facing challenges, from climate change to technological disruption to the erosion of privacy. And to navigate all this, we need a new kind of resilience.
A resilience rooted in both our inner and outer worlds.
Exactly.
So it's not just about Bitcoin, it's about this holistic approach to sovereignty.
It is. It's about reclaiming our power on all levels. Financial, digital, mental, and spiritual. Bitcoin can be a powerful tool in that journey.
But it's just one piece of the puzzle.
It is.
This is really a deep dive, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to explore.
But I'm eager to hear more.
Great. Well, in the next part of our dive, we'll delve into how Bitcoin is more than just a currency. It's a symbol of change.
Okay, I'm ready for that.
A way to reshape society by shifting power back to the individual.
Okay, I'm ready to hear more about this idea of Bitcoin as a symbol of change. It's a big claim, you know.
It is, yeah. It's a real shift in how we think about money. We're so used to governments and banks being in control.
Right.
But Bitcoin challenges that. It's like, what if we had a financial system that was truly decentralized?
With power distributed among the people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like a financial revolution.
You could say that.
But how does that play out in the real world?
Well, think about supply chain transparency. Like, imagine you're buying coffee.
Okay.
You want to know where it came from, how it was produced. if the farmers were paid fairly.
Right, that's important.
With Bitcoin and blockchain, that information could be embedded in the product's digital footprint.
So you could trace its journey from the farm to your cup.
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing.
It gives consumers so much more power to make ethical choices.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just consumer goods. Think about charitable donations.
Oh, right.
With Bitcoin, you could track exactly where your money's going. Make sure it's being used how you intended.
So it's about creating a system of accountability.
Yeah, where there's no hiding shady practices.
It's like shining a light on the whole financial system.
Exactly. That transparency can be a powerful force for change.
Okay, but let's go back to individual sovereignty. How does Bitcoin empower individuals beyond just like financial transparency?
Well, consider the power of choice. Right now, we're often stuck using our nation's currency.
Whether we agree with the government or not.
Right. With Bitcoin, you have the option to opt out.
And choose a currency that aligns with your values.
Exactly.
It's like you're taking back control of your financial destiny.
It is. You're choosing to support a system that you believe in.
It's almost like voting with your wallet, but on a much bigger scale.
Right. But of course, we have to be realistic.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Bitcoin is still new, and it can be volatile. There are risks.
So it's not a perfect solution.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
One concern is that volatility you mentioned. The price can fluctuate a lot.
Yeah, which makes it hard to use for everyday things.
Right. And then there's security. Bitcoin wallets can be hacked.
So it's important to be cautious.
Absolutely. Do your research, understand the risks, protect your investments. But even with those challenges, the potential of Bitcoin is huge.
For empowering people and creating a fairer system.
I think so.
But how does this all connect back to propaganda and digital influence?
That's a good question. And I think the connection is control.
Okay.
Propaganda, digital manipulation, it's all about controlling the narrative, shaping how people think.
But Bitcoin is about taking that control back.
Exactly. It's about pushing back against those forces.
So it's not just about resisting negative influences, it's about creating a positive alternative.
Right. A system where people can think for themselves, make their own choices.
Build a world that aligns with their values.
Exactly.
It's inspiring, but is it just a utopian dream?
I don't think so. We're seeing more and more people wanting agency and control.
Not just in finance, but in all parts of their lives.
Yeah. And technology is a big part of that shift.
You mentioned blockchain before. Is that one of the key technologies driving this?
Oh, absolutely. Blockchain, the tech behind Bitcoin, it has the potential to revolutionize way more than just finance.
Like what?
Well, we're already seeing it used in supply chains, voting systems, healthcare records.
It's about creating more transparency, accountability.
Yeah, and empowering people. And as it keeps evolving,
We can expect even more innovative uses.
for sure,
It's an exciting time to be alive.
it is. But we need to be thoughtful about how we use this technology.
Make sure it serves us, not the other way around.
Exactly. It's on all of us to shape the future we want.
But how does this vision of, individual sovereignty connect to the spiritual dimension we were talking about?
That's a great question. And I think the connection is recognizing that true sovereignty starts within. Technology is a tool, but it's our inner compass, our values, that will guide us.
So it's not either, it's about integrating technology and spirituality.
Right. We are both individuals and part of something bigger. And as we cultivate our own inner sovereignty.
We contribute to the collective awakening. This is all really inspiring, but it also feels like a big responsibility.
It is.
Where do we even start?
Well, start with yourself. Where do you feel a lack of control in your life? Where are your actions not matching your values once you figured that out?
Look for ways to shift that balance of power.
Right. It could be something small. Supporting local businesses, spending less time on social media.
It's about making those conscious choices.
One step at a time.
But it can feel overwhelming to do it all alone.
Oh, for sure. There are lots of groups and communities out there dedicated to these ideas.
To individual sovereignty, decentralization, conscious living.
Yeah, connects with like-minded people, share experiences, learn from each other.
Find your tribe.
Exactly.
So if we were to boil all this down to one key takeaway,
It's that you have the power to create the life you want, the world you want.
it starts with reclaiming your sovereignty.
Cultivating your awareness, making conscious choices, taking action.
It's a message of hope and empowerment.
It is.
It's incredible how all these things, Bitcoin, propaganda, parenting, even spirituality, all tie into this idea of individual sovereignty.
It is, yeah. It's like they're all part of the same puzzle.
Exactly. It's about taking control,
Yeah.
not being a passive consumer or just blindly following the crowd.
It's about becoming the author of your own life.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But what does that actually look like, in real life? Are there examples of people actually living this way?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're seeing it more and more. People opting out of traditional finance, using Bitcoin to take control of their money,
Mm,
parents teaching their kids about digital literacy, helping them navigate the online world safely,
right, being more mindful.
and communities creating more sustainable ways of living.
Like becoming less reliant on those big systems.
Exactly. It's like a quiet revolution happening all around us.
That's a great way to describe it. But this brings up an interesting point. We've been talking about individual sovereignty, but what about our responsibility to others?
That's a great question. It's a balance. Yeah. Individual freedom and our obligations to the community, to the planet.
So it's not just about me and my freedom.
Right. It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected,
Mm.
that our choices have an impact.
So true freedom comes with responsibility.
I think so, yeah. As we reclaim our individual sovereignty, we have to ask ourselves, how can I use this to make a positive difference?
How can I help create a better world?
Exactly.
It's a big question. It can feel overwhelming.
It can, yeah. But even small changes can make a difference.
Like what? What are some things people can do?
Well, start by looking at your own life. Where do you feel a lack of control? Where are your actions not aligned with your values?
Okay, and then what?
And then start making changes. Support local businesses. Reduce your time on social media. Be a conscious consumer.
It's about taking those small steps, making those conscious choices.
One day at a time. And remember, you're not alone. There are so many people, so many groups working towards these same goals.
So find your community, find your tribe. Exactly.
Okay, so if we were to sum all of this up, what's the key message here?
It's that you have the power to create the life you want, to build the world you want to see. It starts with reclaiming your sovereignty.
Being aware, making choices that align with your values.
And taking action.
It's a powerful message, a message of hope.
It is.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. This journey towards individual sovereignty, it's not a destination. It's an ongoing process.
Oh, it is, yeah. A process of growth and exploration.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the wins, and never stop learning.
Keep asking questions. Keep pushing boundaries.
Become the best version of yourself. And remember, you are not alone on this path. There are so many others walking beside you. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep embracing the power within you to create positive change.